Believe we are live. If we are live, let us know in the chat. I can pull it up on my phone real quick. If not, I'm just getting everything set up just real quick. But if we are live, then should be good. See See Phoenix Suns #1 fans in here. Big Merc is in here saying what's up, good. What's up, everyone? How we doing today? Letting everyone filter in the chat here real quick. But how you guys doing? Once again, welcome to another weekly live stream here on Suns Digest. We are live on Thursday, every single Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, to go over the Phoenix Suns, looking back at their past week, looking forward to the next week, answering any questions revolving around this Suns team, and going over some more talks as well. And in this episode, we're going to be diving into a lot of Suns topics here. Might be a little bit of a shorter stream here. It might not go all the way to 7 as I do have some stuff coming up, but I will make sure that we get everything jam-packed and answer everyone's questions. If you have a question down below, let us know. Sup, big dog? What's up, Phoenix Suns #1 fan? How you guys doing? Like I said, I see you guys always in the chat. What's good? Curtis is going to be hopping in here as well. He is hopping in, so let me send him an invite real quick and we'll get it going. I just wanted to make sure that we started the stream on time for you guys, but let me get Curtis in here and then we'll start and get it going here. Boom. Send that to him. And here we go. And like I said, we're going to be going over this Suns team in the past week. They played 3 games since our last stream versus the Wizards and Clippers, which helped us get on that 3-game win streak. But unfortunately, last night, the Suns struck and lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Curtis had a fantastic post game going on over what happened in that one. Here is Curtis. Curtis, what is up, my guy? How you doing? Just get this fixed real quick. Let me just get this all set up. Share with Curtis so he can see the screen. Just give us 1 second here, and we go to the live duo. Hit the be good once I hit this. There we go. Let me grab my headphones so I can hear Curtis real quick, and then we will be rolling. Oh. What's up, Curtis? How you doing?
What's good? What's good?
What's good? Sorry, I was just fixing to get my headphones plugged in, but welcome to the live stream. We are live. We're just going over the past week, looking over some stuff, just diving in. We're gonna look at some previous games, get into some questions, and get into some fan talk as well. We got Phoenix Suns fan saying he wants Capella on the Suns, and Mark Prager back here as well. Second half was not good as well. Asking what's up to Curtis.
Hey, what's up? What's up? How you doing, Mark? How you doing? I remember last week you were chatting it up with us, man. So, glad you're back.
Exactly. And it's glad to have everyone back here as well, and again on this weekly live stream. But like I mentioned, the Suns over this past week played 3 games. Unfortunately, lost their recent one to the Timberwolves, but did have some bright starts to start off the week when they took on the Wizards and when they took on the Clippers. And in that Wizards game, we saw Nick Richards have a very dominant performance. Him look very solid, getting a 2020 game for the Phoenix Suns. Curtis, what was one of your favorite memories from that Wizards game on Saturday?
The Wizards game, man, you make me get in my bag.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember what
Richards
one of
had
my
20
favorite
and
moments were.
19. Durant had 29. Bradley Beal had 20 off the bench. It was a very solid game. Plumlee
Oh,
played pretty
yeah,
solid.
that one. Oh, that's the
Ryan,
one, right? Where I mean, my favorite thing about it, I don't know if I have a particular moment, but my favorite thing about it was just watching Richards pop off, bro. Like, I mean, he was gaming. That man was
Exactly.
hooping. So yeah, I
Exactly.
was just happy to see him feel comfortable in the lineup. He even spoke on it afterwards. Him talking about how they told him just go out there and be you, and it just worked immediately. So I'm a fan of that.
I am too. And then we saw them take on the Clippers on Monday night. That one was, a little closer than expected because in the late game it got a little bit closer. But towards the start of the game, it was a, pretty solid Suns first half. And something we saw similarly with that last game versus the Timberwolves is the second half has been a little bit of a disappointment for this Phoenix Suns team.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, look, I think all in all, did the post game on it. I think all in all, it was solid. We got to see Bill really hooping. It to me, it wasn't that we were a horrible team. Well, actually, that's actually where I'm going to get at. I think most people played good in their own right, but as a team, we got to figure out a new rotation. Budenholzer really has to figure out what he wants to do and what the game plan is going to be with the talent that we have at the moment. Because it looks like going up against a solid team, we don't know what we're doing. On the defensive end of the ball, for real though, we couldn't get stops, man. I mean, we had three people over 20 points on us. What I mean? Edwards dropped 30 on our head. We got to figure out what we're doing on defense, and then we've got to figure out what our true offensive game plan is. And we're playing a lot of scramble ball. It looks like.
I understand what you're saying, and I like how you mentioned how Budenholzer kind of defined out this lineup, and with the trade deadline kind of catching up on us in less than a week now. At this point, at this time of day on Thursday, the trade deadline will have been already done, so the Suns won't be able to make any more moves. I'm curious to see who they kind of play in these next couple games and who they really find out to stay on as in these roles for this team. But let's dive back into the chat. Let's see what we got. My boy Crampy's here saying, "What's up, Suns Nation? What's up, Cramp? How you doing?" Mark saying he's going well. Thank you, keeping up the great work. Thank you, Mark, for tuning in and checking us out. We really do appreciate that. Phoenix Suns #1 fan. A YouTuber made me get into the Suns. Have you ever heard of Brawadis before? That who got me into the Suns. Yes, I know who Brawadis is. Do you know Brawadis?
I don't.
No, he is. Do you know FaZe Rug?
I don't. I don't watch a lot of YouTube content, to be
No
honest.
worries, no worries. He's FaZe Rug's brother. He's a huge, huge Phoenix Suns fan. Probably like one of the bigger ones
Oh, okay.
on social media.
One of the FaZe Clan members, yeah.
Yeah, one of the FaZe Clan members' brothers is the
He's
huge
he's their
Suns fan.
brother.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. But looking like into the Suns, like we mentioned, they went 2-1 over this last week. Curtis, the Suns have 4 games coming up, and we're gonna get into this in a little bit here right now, kind of diving into the next topic. Looking ahead into the schedule here with the Suns. Now, they got 4 games coming up. Now they got the Golden State Warriors tomorrow, which I think is kind of funny due to the fact that we've seen the trade rumors from Jimmy Butler and, surrounding these two teams. It's kind of the battle of the two teams in the mix for Jimmy Butler, as news has kind of come out today that obviously Steph Curry and Steve Kerr have some issues possibly bringing Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors. Maybe that's something that's barring a trade there. And then they have some other games as well. They take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2 times. They play the Portland Trailblazers, and the Blazers obviously have some history with the Suns with some recent trades with Jusuf Nurkic and Grace and DeAndre Ayton playing versus their revenge teams. The Suns being interested in Duop Reith. What are your kind of expectations going into this week for some of these opponents, Curtis?
Let's say I would expect we go 2-1 of the three teams that you named. I don't think we're gonna beat the Thunder. I think that's a rough one. You know what I'm saying? Those guys have the hot hand. One of the best players in the league, if not currently the best player in the league on their team. And then, but the other two, I think we can take out the Warriors. That would be a fun one to watch. I think that's gonna be my favorite one out of the three. And then obviously the Trailblazers game is gonna have a little bit of spice to it. It'd be cool to watch Aiden go up against Richards, down there in the post. But all in all, I think my favorite one to watch is gonna be the Warriors game, and I think we'll be able to take that one.
I think we'll be able to too, and I'm excited to see that matchup as well. Similarly with the Thunder as well, Kevin Durant kind of going up against one of his former teams as well. It will be a nice little showdown. I personally think Mark Priger thinks that the sooner the Suns get one of the two deals done, the better before the OKC Thunder game, and obviously now I believe. To my knowledge, the Thunder are the last team that the Suns play on out of that 4. So I believe they play them on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so they play them the night before the trade deadline. Do you think that it's possible that the Suns, excuse me, could get a move done before then, or do you think it's going to be some moves happening on a couple hours before?
I think it's possible that we get a move done, but I mean, I think I'll let you know, man. At this point, I'm really starting to think that we might not even make any moves, to be honest. Uh, now, now Nurkic probably can get off. I mean, we'll probably do something with Nurkic, assuming that that's something that they are really going to force. If they can't get what they want, I don't know if they're going to force a trade with Nurkic. And Beal, I just think we're going to have Beal for the rest of the year. That's how I feel, honestly. So I mean, I guess we could see. It's possible. You asked me if it's possible. It's possible, but I don't know what we're looking for, to be honest.
Well, there were rumors. I don't know if you saw today reports of the Suns being interested in trading with the Hawks with Jusuf Nurkic, and the Suns are
Hmm.
looking to be interested in trading um, Jusuf Nurkic. So I do believe, I kind of think where you're standing is with the Bradley Beal situation. I think that will kind of be a last second type of thing for the Phoenix Suns here. I think that's either going to be, Jimmy Butler at the last second gets dealt, or the Suns are just going to have Bradley Beal. And I think it'll be fine if they keep Bradley Beal within this team. But I do believe that a Nurkic trade could be on the horizon. Maybe not in the next couple of days, but I definitely think before the deadline. And depending on who they get, I know that people said that the Suns were interested in Bogdanovich. I saw from a report. Then I saw a report
Yeah.
earlier today from Gerald Bourguet saying that the Suns aren't interested in Bogdanovich. I saw a mock trade from Brandon Duenas on the Bright Side of the Sun, where he did one for Larry Nance. Or out of those kind of names, do any of them interest you? I know a lot of Suns fans would like to get Capella, but regardless, at this very moment, the Suns physically can't get Capella due to unless they trade Bradley Beal because they have to send out more than they get back. And unfortunately, I
Hmm.
tried my hardest today with even sending out players on higher TPE contracts and stuff like that. It is not possible for the Suns to get Clint Capella at this very moment. So Larry Nance, Bogdan Bogdanovich, any other guys that you kind of see would be nice on that Hawks team that you think could fit.
Let me take a look here, brother. The Hawks.
We
I'm
got
trying to see
Phoenix Suns
because I see
fan.
here
You
in the
imagine
chat too.
Kaminga.
Somebody said, what about Kaminga? Guys, if you've been listening to me, if you've been paying attention to me, I'm looking for somebody that has some size and that can really get buckets. Now Kaminga 6'7", right? But I'm looking for somebody bigger, man. I'm looking for somebody that. I mean, Capella is probably the best look of all the things that everybody keeps naming. I'm a fan of of trying to get Capella over. Bogdanovich, I don't know. I feel like that just overloads us in the front court. I mean back court. It
Mhm.
just overloads us even more. I not too much of a fan of that. But Capella, I'd be a fan of that. Even if we could get Larry Nance off of, but hey, either way.
I think so too. And I think Capella was one of the guys that I wanted them to get in the off season. It was like one of the guys that I really like sought after because he's just kind of does what everyone on the Suns really need him to do, is just get rebounds, block shots, be what Nick Richards can do, and just having two of those types of pieces to where they can split minutes evenly, and if one of them gets in foul trouble, the other one can step up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of don't even want them to split minutes. Is what my thing is. I want them to play together. I mean, yeah, obviously, there's going to be times you're going to have to do some rotations, get Plumlee out there, and things like that. Have moments where we have KD down there playing the four. But I want to start the game, and I want those two to be. I want if we get Capella, I would want him and Richards in the paint together to start the game, and be that rebounding defensive force to
Okay.
help us bust leads open because that's how we're starting games very strong. Every game over the past 2 weeks, we've started strong, and then we start to falter later. So if we can start even stronger. It gives us more cushion for when teams start to come back in about the third quarter whenever we're having issues. I mean that's the type of gameplay I'm looking for.
So you're looking for the double rebounding big lineup for the Suns.
Yeah, and some
Okay.
buckets. I mean,
Okay.
we already saw Richards
Obviously
drop
with like
20,
other guys and stuff
so
in there. You'd have
Yeah.
Durant, you'd have Booker, most likely Ryan Dunn in there, but a lineup like that could definitely get buckets, but also be able to rebound and defend for this Suns team. Big Merc saying he likes Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, I think, would be a decent player to add as well. I just don't necessarily know if the Bucks would want Jusuf Nurkic, so getting Bobby Portis would have to be in a three-team deal, and that's very tricky. Imagine Edie. Edie would be crazy, but not going to be tradable, unfortunately. Todd Peterson saying, "I'm just ready for the trade deadline to come so we can just know the outcome." Yeah, that's I feel a lot of people feel like, you know what I mean? Like Thursday,
Yeah.
I know that I'm gonna be glued to my phone, but I remember last year just like it's just so satisfying knowing like where these players eventually do end up and seeing the trades actually go through because these teams have these high asking prices, you know what I mean, for months and months, and then in the heat of a 3 hour window and they know they don't want to have said player, they're willing to just get off said player for whatever. And it's kind of crazy to see like what kind of goes back in return and really value the kind of trades that happen.
Yeah. Speaking of Bobby Portis, real quick, I would like to have him over too. I'm cool with him too. But you said the Bucks might not be open to the trade. To be honest, I don't. Do you think that because obviously that would be us getting Nurkic over there, right? That's how this deal would have to go. Do you think that Nurkic would fit in with them?
I don't. So if they're gonna be running Giannis the four, Nurkic would have to be a backup big behind Lopez, and like I mean, again, you could have him and Lopez kind of like splitting minutes, but Nurkic can't stretch the floor with KD. I don't know if he'd be able to stretch the floor with Giannis, who's going to be in the paint the whole game.
Mm, yeah, you're right.
That's
You
the
are
only
right.
kind of
Okay.
questionable
Yep.
fit. I
Never
feel
mind.
like for like I feel like I feel like for Yusuf Nurkic, it's got to be a team that has there's three outcomes that I really see happening for the for Yusuf Nurkic deal. It's one, a team that has a young center, a guy on a rookie contract that needs just like a backup to fill in because at this point in my opinion, I think he's a backup big, and making $18 million is a starting quality money. So you have to find a team that has a backup, a starting center that's a little bit younger. Two, it could be a team that just desperately needs the rebounding, a Lakers, a Warriors, a team that's just in the market for a big, a team that's just willing to make a move. And I don't think the Suns would get what they are sending out. I think they'd get something else from a third team. Or I personally believe that it's going to be a team that just will take on a salary. Eventually, when we see some of these moves go down, I feel like teams like the Nets or the Wizards, after moving off contracts like Kuzma and Valanciunas and Cam Johnson, will have enough money to take on a contract like Yusuf Nurkic to where the Suns can just salary dump him there for a piece, or that piece goes to another, like in a third team or something like that, ultimately for the Suns to get what they want.
I dig it. I dig it. I can thoroughly agree with you. To be honest, this it's one of those things where a team doesn't quite want him to put themselves in a spot to win. It's just kind of like just making moves to set themselves up for the future. I get
Mm-hmm.
it.
And it's unfortunate too because you and I talked about this before on this show. I don't know if it was when we were live or if it was on an episode or if it was just off camera, but we've talked about how we've wanted Yusuf Nurkic to kind of embrace that bench role. You know what I mean? Like if him and Nick Richards could play together just in those kind of minutes, I think it would be fine. But with the reports of him and Mike Budenholzer not talking for months, I think the relationship has just soured enough that it just kind of made it like irreplaceable to fix that damage. But if it were fixable just for this season, it would make it so much easier for the Suns because then next year he's an expiring contract. And even though he is making a little bit more on that expiring contract, teams are more willing to take on an expiring deal due to the fact. And some of those,
Hmm.
and because maybe they can flip a Yusuf Nurkic at the deadline if a Nets or a Wizards took him as their starting center going into the season and then flipped him again for more assets. So I think that the Suns do still think he has value, but I just wish that he would come off the bench. I just wish they would just have that opportunity happen just to see how it
Yeah.
worked.
Exactly. Yeah, we definitely did talk about that. I would love to see it. I think that they could play well together. But like you said, they're not speaking, and but the thing is, You ever had a job where your boss doesn't talk to you? Isn't that lovely? I love when my boss doesn't talk to me, man. So
That's
just get on the court and hoop, Nurk.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. Come on, just lace up those shoes and get us 7, 8 rebounds and maybe 4 or 5 points. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
That's it. That's
That's
it.
all I'm
That's all we
asking.
need.
Phoenix Suns
Tell
number
them
one
20
fan
minutes.
is again asking us a question here. So he wants to know who you all rooting for in the Super Bowl. And Curtis, me and you have had a discussion about this off camera. So why don't you let everyone know who you're rooting
Fly Eagles
for?
fly, brother. Fly Eagles fly. Yeah,
and
buddy.
and I'm rooting for the Eagles just due to the fact that I do not want the Chiefs to win. Injury prone Beal, Ishbia better fire Bartlestein. I don't. Beal hasn't been fully the issue on his injury stuff. It's just been more the fit.
That's
Now,
all it is. Yeah.
apparently, Michael Escato is now tweeting that the Miami Heat and Phoenix Suns have teams interested in Bogdanovich. So, who knows what the Phoenix Suns are doing at this point? All we know is that the Phoenix Suns are active on the trade market. They're looking to make moves, and regardless, I think they're going to try to move Jusuf Nurkic. If that's to get a backup center, I think that's the ideal situation. But if they can't get a backup center, they will use Jusuf Nurkic's contract due to the fact that he does not play and use those first round picks to move off of him to get another hole or fill or need. And even if it is a duplicate need, then they'll use that other contract to fill in that backup center. And I kind of talked about that in my video where with Bogdanovich, then maybe you're trading Grayson Allen for a player in a backup center, which, yes, Allen is younger. Allen has had better shooting numbers this season, but you're ultimately getting off the Jusuf Nurkic contract and getting someone that can fill in for you and then using Grayson Allen's contract to then get a backup center. It's basically what you would be doing if you were trading Jusuf Nurkic away for another center. It's just that you can't physically do that because of his value, so you have to do this little like loophole and jump around it.
Yep. 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 Break it down for him, man. I see it, Bruce. Nah,
my boy
that's
Josh,
exactly how it have to go. Yeah, we could do
my
a few different loop trades here. What did you say?
my boy Josh Crampton has a question, so I want to know your thoughts because I'll give my thoughts after. He says, "Is Torrey Craig a possibility for the Suns?" Now, do you have you watched Torrey Craig that much? Do you know much about his game? Would you think he'd be a good fit for this team?
To be honest, yeah, I have not peeped a lot of them. So you take this one, brother.
Okay, so Torrey Craig's been a pretty solid veteran wing, and I think he'd be a pretty solid addition on the edges here for the Suns. One thing with Torrey Craig is that he's just a piece that is highly coveted around the league because he is making around, I think he's making less than $3 million, or he is making $3 million, around 2.8 million, I believe. So he's very, very affordable, and a lot of teams are willing to just add him as like an extra shooter off the bench as an extra defender. So I do think there'll be a lot of teams that are willing to search for him, and maybe the Bulls could get a better deal than what the Suns could give up. But if the Suns are
Hmm.
willing to give up a player like Bull, I don't. Obviously, you're not trading Ryan Dunn or Oso Ighodaro for a player like Torrey Craig or something like that. But Bull swap for Torrey Craig, maybe with the second round pick, wouldn't be too bad. But I don't necessarily know if that's like a I don't know if it's a much needed move, but I think it would be a good move for the Suns to bring. And he's obviously played with the Suns before too. It'd be nice to have him
Okay.
back.
Okay.
He also
Okay.
saying F the Chiefs and F the refs. Yes, and that's my boy. That's my boy right there. That's how you know.
F the refs, yes, sir. Oh my
So you
gosh.
see, Jimmy got suspended for 7 games. I would not want that on the Suns. I know that's a lot of Suns fans' thoughts. Is that you as well?
Bruce, remember we
Yep.
did a video the other day and I was like, to be honest, this guy is like he's throwing a hissy fit over there, man. And I don't how long until he does that in our locker room or what kind of energy is he really bringing over. I don't like it. I don't like it. At first, I was okay with it. Yes, of course, be very vocal about wanting to move. But dog, 3 suspensions in a row. Nah, gee, what? Come on, bro. You're being too disruptive. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that.
I'm not betting against the Chiefs from your and I agree. I think that there's a lot of goods with Butler, but there's also some additive drama and excess stuff that goes around with him. And it's been seen at every destination he has been at, so that's something you have to keep a wary eye on if you are wanting him to come here. better than damaged goods Beal Butler is. I mean Butler's I think just a better fit for the team. But if Bradley Beal was on, if like a perfect example for Bradley Beal to be on is either the Miami Heat or the Milwaukee Bucks without Tyler Hero or Dame Lillard. If they had him as their primary guard alongside another like defensive guard and like a wing scorer, then that team would be elite because all they need to do, like a player like Bam Adebayo or Giannis Antetokounmpo, is drive to the rack and then just turn and kick, and Bradley Beal's just going to be open catch and shoot every time, and it's just going to work. It's just that his
Mm-hmm.
fit with this Suns team with two other guys that need the ball in their hands, sometimes Tyus who needs the ball in the hands, it's not going to just like mesh.
It's not meshing. That's the problem. I don't. Hold on. Like we're to watch you say this, talking so bad about my man's Bill. Did we not watch the last game? He was hooping.
That's what I'm saying.
He
Last
put up
night,
some
all three of the
solid
big three
numbers.
were really good.
Yeah. Yeah, tonight. What do you have? 17 and 6, 17.7, 17.6 assists. I mean, come on. That's not bad. It's not bad.
We got a question from Carlos Segovia. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name, but he asked, "How would you guys feel if Booker gets snubbed again?" And I believe this is kind of referring to
All-Star game.
All-Star game. Yeah. Where was Booker on the fan? I believe Booker was in like the 9 or the 10s for fan voting for the guard position. So I do think it's going to be hard for a player like Booker to make it. He obviously has the stats very well deserving to make an All-Star game, but with 12, I believe it's 12 players. Yes, 12 players on each team. It's very difficult for some of these guys, and we already saw with the starting five. We saw Curry, Shea, um, LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Nikola Jokic make it. So
Mm-hmm.
the other five guys, right? Anthony Edwards has got to be an all-star right at that guard position. 100%. He's been on one of the top teams, and he's their best player. Trying to think of. There's got to be someone from the Rockets, either probably Alprin Sengun, but I would think someone from the Rockets is their top team out west. Maybe like there's Savonis, De'Aaron Fox. There's a lot. There's a lot of guys that are competing for this type of stuff.
Guys, like to be honest, I don't think it would be a snub if he doesn't make it. I don't. I wouldn't even call it a snub, uh, bro. Anthony Edwards, bro, Kyrie Irving, John Morant, James Harden, all these guys are not on the team yet. Come on now. At this point, how are we calling that a snub? Even in the fan voting, we have Devin Booker. Now, look, Suns fans, don't be mad at me when I say this. We have Devin Booker. He's higher up than this player I'm about to name. But when we see what Russell Westbrook is doing this season, you don't think he deserves an All Star spot?
I don't think so. Not over Devin Booker.
Really?
No, no.
He's open.
I know he is, but I gotta give my credit to Devin Booker. I
9
gotta
turnovers yesterday changed my mind a little bit.
Well, that happens, yeah, understandable. But
No,
Westbrook,
I know. I'm just hating. I'm just hating.
no, I know
What? Yeah, I can't believe you don't think Westbrook deserves an All Star. Bro, that dude is hooping, bro.
he's playing good, but I don't know if we're gonna if he is. I don't know if he is worthy of an All Star. Buddha the Schizo still can't believe we're not playing Bull, excuse me, more often. That's how I feel too. But I
Oh, yeah.
the Suns. I don't know why we went over this in last week, I think. I don't understand why the Suns re-signed him if they weren't going to play him, if they weren't going to test him, if they weren't going to use him at all. I still think he should be a guy that should be not that he's probably coveted on the trade market, but could be used in a, flip for flip. You give us a veteran, we'll give you a young player in bowl type deal. I still think that's an option for the Suns, but if that's not the case, if he's still on this roster post trade deadline, I will be genuinely confused if so and why if he's not getting any playing time.
Yeah. I mean,
Because if
that's
he's extra insurance, he's not good.
dude. We talked about this last time. It's dude, get somebody, get somebody down there with him and train with him every day and work on his footwork and his offensive package. And then maybe if we're keeping him, maybe next year after all this work and his offensive practice. Maybe next season we come back and he's got some spin move, drop steps, some shimmy shake hooks, so some faders. You know what I mean? A midi dog. If he can build that, everything else will just come in play. It's all good. You're too big to not get defensive stops, so like just build the offensive package, and then everything else will happen. I don't understand why we're not doing that. Invest in the man if you're gonna keep him.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why the Suns don't keep kind of pouring it in to a guy in Bol Bol and try to give that investment. If we trade for Giannis, unfortunately, that is not going to be possible. Giannis, I don't think is going to be leaving. Um, hate to say it, but because I love Book, but he just hasn't played at the All Star level this year, and he has had some inconsistencies this season, and it's just a stacked Western Conference. That's what it is.
Yeah,
There's so many players in the West. There's so many talented stars. If it was the Eastern Conference, I'd say for sure. But with the Western, even in the Eastern Conference, it's still very tough to make it because there's players like LaMelo Ball who did really well in the fan voting, but obviously didn't make it as a starter, and people were critiquing that. But it's all on other assets as well with winning and coaching. It's not just like one demographic that chooses it. Got to be some
yeah.
personal locker room thing behind the scenes that prevents Bowl from playing. I don't. I hope not.
I wouldn't assume that. I don't know
We all see on the
because
court
this
that
is
he
the
looks
same
good, better
treatment he
than the
gets
last
everywhere.
spot in that rotation. Yeah, I agree with you, Todd, that he's better than the last spot in the rotation, and not that I'm gonna be saying this to be mean, but the Suns, I think, kind of going into the season, made two questionable signings. Maybe they didn't know how deep they were ultimately going to be, how great they were, but bringing back Damian Lee and having Bobo on this roster are two players that don't play. Damian Lee is very solid as a great role guy and to be like a mentor. And I know he was hurt last season, and the Suns probably rewarded him by giving him another chance, but they haven't even given the opportunity to be able to throw him out there. You know what I mean? Like they haven't
Hmm.
even given him the look. And not that he's probably good enough to be getting those looks, but then why is he holding up a spot? Why is not one of the young guys on the roster? Why don't we have another veteran guy that like a Monte Morris or Mason Plumlee that could be thrown in there, maybe possibly playing? There were a bunch of free agents that possibly Suns fans liked: Frank Kaminsky, Dennis Smith Jr., Lonnie Walker. Those are all guys that could have been picked up and thrown on this roster, but the Suns in the early offseason signed Bull Bull, which I thought was a good move. But if they're not going to play him, but you could have signed a guy like Lonnie Walker and could have had a guy maybe possibly giving you 5 to 6 points off the bench as a scorer, as a scoring guard. Why wouldn't you want to have that compared to a guy who's just sitting there not playing?
Yeah. Yep. I don't get it at all. I don't understand it at all. I mean, it was if you're not going to play him at all, it was just completely unnecessary. You didn't have to get anybody, honestly. If you're not going to play him, it was just a useless sign.
And the thing is we've seen that too. Like the Suns at the beginning of this like off season, excuse me, were rumored to be interested in trading Jusuf Nurkic. They had Nazir Little under contract. They were interested in trading him, and unfortunately for Nazir Little, they couldn't move off that long term deal, so they had to stretch and waive him. But they ended up doing that. They ended up trading David Roddy for EJ Liddell and then waiving EJ Liddell. Like the EJ Liddell could have been, even though he was young, torn ACL, he could have been at least someone to develop in the G League to kind of see what he could possibly do. And I don't
Yeah.
understand, or even David Roddy, I know they had a lot of wings on the roster. That kind of made sense as well to kind of move. But I don't know. I think there's just been some questionable decision making over this last offseason just because I've been paying attention to it more this last offseason of just how things have been going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Uh,
Morris. I like Morris. Morris doesn't get any playing time, but Morris was playing good when he was getting some jump.
when he was getting some play, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. We can't throw too much hate at some of these guys. They're not going to touch the court. And speaking of
Exactly.
throwing some hate, man. I was tripping on Westbrook. I mean, I was tripping on my man Booker, man. Guys, this is me reconciling, guys. He over the past how was this? The last 10 games? Yeah, over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, over the last 10 games, he's shooting 44.4% from the field, and he has this. Is how many 30-point games he has? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then one game at 28. So he has 6 games, 30 or more. in the last 10 games. And then he has a 28 and a 26. Yeah, never mind. I'm tripping. I'm sorry. Devin Booker is balling out of control, man. He just has a couple of these games that are like really ringing in my head. This stinker he put up with the 0 and 8 from 3, 5 for 18 from the field against the Wizards. That game was terrible. And then the 9 turnovers the other night. I mean, so I'm just kind of looking more at the negative because I'm analyzing too tough. And against the Cavaliers, he didn't play too good either. But every other game, balling out of control. So we could say too inconsistent, but if it's only 2 games where you really weren't hitting shots, and then 1 game you had a lot of turnovers, but you still got buckets, it's like, no, he's being pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He's being
Mm-hmm.
pretty dang consistent.
Exactly. And my boy Cramp's asking about Capella. Unfortunately, Capella is just not tradable for the Suns just at this very moment, with them being the second apron. They just don't have any contracts to send out besides Beal. And then we got another suggestion as well from Lucky Dab here. Nurk and a first for D'Lo. Now, I wouldn't I wouldn't mind having D'Lo just because it would just be another offensive add. But once again, it's like D'Lo would obviously have to come off the bench, and then you'd have to have kind of D'Lo be what Beal is now, really. You know what I mean? So you would have to
Yes,
have
yes.
no Beal to do this trade. I think if you have Bradley Beal, this isn't realistically a good one. If you're able to get off Bradley Beal and get Jimmy Butler somehow, then possibly injecting a piece like D'Angelo Russell in there, and then moving a player like Grayson Allen for that center could then kind of rework some things with a lineup of what? Playing hypotheticals, Butler, Dunn, Katie, Richards, Morris, D'Lo, Royce, insert two, because you'd have to get a little bit more. You're getting something for Grayson at the
Well,
backup big.
you never mentioned Tyus, but
And Tyus too, and
yeah,
Tyus,
yeah,
excuse
yeah.
me.
No, it's all good.
Definitely was a
My whole
slow
take
start.
on this is like my whole take on that is even even if we didn't have Beal, he doesn't D'Lo doesn't want to be a sixth man. He's been very vocal about that recently, talking about how he's enjoying that time out there, getting his freedom to play how he wants as a starter. So nah, I
Yeah,
couldn't see it happening.
I agree with you. I think that now that you mention, I remember that quote from him in Brooklyn when he did get traded. And I think him being in that kind of position is kind of perfect for his career because he's the type of player where I don't, in my eyes, he's like a fourth or fifth probably best player on a championship team at this point. He's not going to be a two. He's not going to be a three, and we've kind of figured that out by now. So having D'Lo either being one of those players on a championship team or him being like a top two, top three player on a pretty bad team where they can kind of like still get some good wins and still get some good production out of D'Angelo Russell and possibly flip him in the future, but still allow him to play what he wants to do is kind of a win-win for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. James Jones, the king of turning assets into negative assets. Yeah. That's been a little bit of a story with James Jones. And we got this is crazy take, but Bryce is better than Bronny for sure. That's what a lot of people are saying. Bryce is better than Bronny. I don't watch much of Bryce, but he is committed to the University of Arizona. So that would be really, really cool to see for everybody living in the area, obviously. Getting to go to see Bryce James play.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's next year or season season after that. The Eastern Conference All-Star reserves just came in. We got Darius Garland, Damian Lillard, Jalen Brown, Evan Mobley, Tyler Hero, Cade Cunningham, and Pascal Siakam. So no Trey Young,
Damn.
no Maxi, and no Lamelo. Those are
No
probably the
Lamelo.
yeah. Those are probably the.
Okay.
It has to do with winning. It has to do with
I mean, it almost always does. It's
exactly and
not
being
like
a
that's a new take or anything.
And it's just being a 13 seed and not producing winning basketball is just not as recognized, which is fair. Obviously, Brown, Siakam, Garland, Mobley, Lillard, Hero, and Cunningham all on playoff teams at this moment, or teams in the play-in, I believe, at this moment, which
Hmm.
gives them obviously the nod and the edge.
Yeah. I mean, this lineup makes sense. This makes
Three
sense.
three Cavs though. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. Hopefully that we'll see the Suns. I don't know if is it the Suns is the Suns today as well? Is it both of them? I believe. I don't know why it would just be one side. So yeah, most likely. Let's see.
I
Trey
would
Young.
assume.
Yeah. Zach Levine also didn't make it, but I don't know if Zach Levine. Have you been seeing the De'Aaron Fox stuff? Have you been keeping up with that?
I have not. What you got for me?
So De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings might be getting in a little trade, and rumor on the street earlier this was these last couple of days was Houston, San Antonio, Miami as the top three options, and then while we've been live, uh, rumor came out from Sam Amick from The Athletic that what he's hearing on De'Aaron Fox that the Kings and the Spurs have talks or having talks and are trying to get a deal done in which
Okay,
the
okay.
Kings want Stephon Castle back.
I am not mad at them. You've heard me talk about it. I want him on the Suns, to be honest. I want that
Mm-hmm.
player. That dude is good. That dude
Exactly.
is good, and I think we could utilize him a little bit more than the Spurs play him right now. They only give him what he's getting like 24 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could really rock with him. But hey, anywhere he goes, I think they'll utilize him properly, and he'll get the minutes he deserves. And he's a great player, so I'm
I
with it.
think if the Kings go do a Fox trade, that also might help out the Suns because with the Kings doing a Fox trade, not only are the Sacramento Kings a division opponent, they're in the Pacific Division, but also in the Western Conference. And if one of these teams at fighting for a playoff spot or kind of in that mix decides to trade their franchise player or best player, there could be some ripple effects. Who knows? Maybe a DeMar DeRozan trade comes through before the deadline, or possibly a Sabonis surprise trade, or possibly what they get back, they kind of showcase that they are going to be taking a little bit of a step back. So it could help out the Suns kind of maybe pushing up over the Kings and kind of climbing over them in this playoff race as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Who knows what happens once you make these moves, man? Teams
Mm-hmm.
need time to gel. We might be able to sneak into a big team trade, get something going. I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah, you're right. I
Exactly.
would love to see it happen. I love when there's big shakeups, and I feel like there hasn't been a lot of that during this trade deadline. It's like a lot of whispers and talks and all this stuff going on everywhere, but nobody's doing anything.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think it's just because of the holdup of the Butler trade. I think that the Heat are still wanting to get off Butler, regardless if it is to Phoenix or if it's to a Brooklyn or a Washington or whoever. You know what I mean? They're still
Mm-hmm.
wanting to get off that said contract, so they're still trying to push a deal through. And I think that once that kind of goes through, then kind of the other things might happen. And who knows? We could see a case of the deadline where we've seen in not really in recent years, as the last couple of years have been really, really great, but kind of when I remember growing up in like 2015, 16, around that time where just a lot of talks happen and no big move happens. And maybe a Jimmy Butler trade doesn't happen, or because there's so many because it happened so late and the formation of it got so late, other trades couldn't get done because of that deal and stuff like that. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. We got two questions revolving around this Suns team. I gotta head out before 7 o'clock, so we gotta end the stream a little bit earlier here tonight, Curtis. But we got two questions before we head out regarding centers, because we've been talking about centers with this Suns team. So Phoenix Suns fan wants to know about Mitch. I believe he's talking about Mitch Robinson. And then we got Nathan Joyce asking about the Suns could pry Miles Turner away from Indy. They said they won't pay him, and he says it's a long shot, but that would be an ideal fit in his opinion.
Yeah, we actually brought this up a little bit ago. I actually said I would like I had a pretty good breakdown on one of the videos. I don't remember which one it was, but I said I would like Miles Turner. So yes, you're spitting, brother. I definitely said I would like Miles Turner. Uh, Mitch, I don't know. You take that one. How you feel about that one?
So with Mitch, the one thing that I am concerned about is his injury history, as he has always been injured throughout his career, and he has been out for this season for the Knicks. So Mitch hasn't even suited up for them, and I do believe that if the Knicks are looking to move Mitch Robinson, it's because they feel that he will not be playing this season. Therefore, I don't see why the Suns would want to do a trade to even acquire a player like Mitchell Robinson for that fit. The Suns have had the injury bug since last season and this season. I don't want another injury prone player. When it goes
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
when it goes to Miles Turner, that is, again, ideal, perfect fit. I agree. The one thing is that I see is even if Indiana doesn't want to pay him, I just don't know contractually how the Suns would get him. I don't think Indiana's going to want Nurkic, and I think a lot of teams will have better packages than Turner. I think that the
Mm-hmm.
Suns had a chance to get Miles Turner a couple of years ago when they had DeAndre Ayton. And when DeAndre Ayton was a restricted free agent, DeAndre Ayton had two options. DeAndre Ayton could either sign an offer sheet um, in sign with the Pacers, excuse me, and then the Suns could match that offer sheet, or the Suns and the Pacers could have done a deal with a sign and trade. The Suns wanted to get Miles Turner. I believe it was Obi Toppin as well, but I don't know off the top of my head. But it was Miles Turner and someone else for DeAndre Ayton. There was a sign and trade agreement that was formed, but unfortunately, the GM, of course, did not want, or not, sorry, not the GM, Monty Williams did not want to get um, Miles Turner as he felt he wasn't like good enough for the team. So they did not do the deal. Aiton signed the contract to basically give them the middle finger, and then the Suns were forced into paying him that money because they didn't want to lose him for nothing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's just how it goes. But if that was not the case, and if the Suns, it was either Monty or James Jones, I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but it was one of them did not want Miles Turner. If one of them had made the executive decision to get Miles Turner would have been on this team. They would have been no Jusuf Nurkic, and then we would have been looking at a team of even before with Kevin Durant arriving here with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson and Miles Turner, and then it could have turned into the deal with KD, which still would have been nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Chris Paul, second round exit team. Let's get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's just. I'm just. Chris Paul might be on the move again. He might be on the move again with all this news with De'Aaron Fox. He could be a tradable contract. It's about to be
Man,
countable hours until the trade deadline. Yes, yes, it is. It's almost. Miles Turner would be a beast. And then let's just look through these last. No one wants Burkic or Beal. That somehow they end up with the most untradeable contracts. Lice comes at you fast. Yeah, unfortunately, that's why they have all those picks as well for this Suns team. That's why they're trying to get off these contracts. But Curtis, I gotta unfortunately go, so we do have to end the stream a little bit earlier tonight. But I do want to say thank you to everyone that did hop into this stream. It was absolutely fantastic breaking down this Suns team, going over this last week, going over some trades, answering questions, just talking and chatting back with you guys. Curtis, it was also once again a fantastic time discussing and breaking everything down with you. We'll be back again live on Thursday, and Thursday is, like we said, the trade deadline. So hopefully the Suns make some moves by then. By next Thursday when we are live, we'll have some great stuff to talk about. Could go over what the Suns possibly did in moves, possibly what they didn't make, what we would have liked them to do, all of that jazz. Probably will be more of a trade deadline kind of post reaction type kind of live stream, but we'll definitely be live breaking that down all for you guys next Thursday. So once again, we'll be live. Make sure to stay tuned for that. And if you want to make sure to stay up to date on every single video and topic coming up with the Suns, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below so you stay up to date on everything. Like we said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. We were at like 1,800 subscribers before the month. We're almost at 2,200 subscribers, which is just absolutely crazy. Almost 400 subscribers in this month is just something I never would have thought of, and it's all due to your guys' support with all the comments, all the likes, everything like that. So once again, thank you so much, Curtis. You got any final words, anything last to say to the viewers before we sign off tonight?
nothing, man. Nothing tonight. Just y'all keep on messing with us, man. It's been fun out here. So obviously we'll be having some more videos out throughout the week. Make sure you subscribe. Come check out those videos. Leave comments. Tell us what you think about our thoughts, and then obviously we'll see you next Thursday to have more conversation, like Bruce said. But yeah, Bruce, where are we going, man? Where we headed to?
Um, what do you mean? We're going
Where are
somewhere
we
nice on a
going? I'm going
vacation?
with you.
Oh,
I'm going with you.
we're going on a nice vacation. We're gonna maybe next week we'll have some tropical backgrounds. We'll be on a nice little beach or something like that in Cancun enjoying the trade deadline. But
All right.
like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
that sounds good with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much once again. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love, and we'll catch you guys in the next stream. Have a great one, guys.